Mate, we have a lot of ground to cover today.
Oh, lots of ground.
Yeah. But there's a bit of controversy that we need to address from some of you out there. You're doing that we have to address this. So I'll handle it over to you.
Look, out of the goodness of our hearts and the generosity of our wallets, you know, some say that when we open our wallet, moths fly out.
Yeah.
But that might be the case, but we've managed to drum up 4 figures, 4 of them.
4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4.
A gorilla, a grand.
Yeah.
Out of the goodness of our hearts for the drifters for this tipping competition. And, you know, we're doing that from a moral high ground, I'd say. Like,
Yeah.
we have the highest ground in terms of morality.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we expect that to be the caliber in which the drifters partake in this competition. And there's been some nefarious activity by some drifters.
2 individuals.
2 individuals. And I just need to get your permission. Are we naming and shaming?
I'm happy to, but they've broken the rules.
They've broken the rules straight up.
And it's not fair for the rest of the thousands of people in this tipping competition.
There's thousands of people in this tipping competition and only 2 people have broken the rules. And you might be wondering, drifters, well, it seems pretty straightforward. Like, how can you break the rules of this competition?
Yeah.
Well, quite simply, when you're putting in your tips after the fact, I'd say that's cheating.
Yeah, I would have thought so. One of them doing Southport Tycoon the next day. Huh? That ain't good enough.
Yeah.
Not in our tipping competition.
Southport Tycoon, the day after, on a Saturday morning, after he's run a drum in the Manikato at double figures, and therefore you're thinking that you're going to get double points?
We have receipts, bruh.
We have receipts, bruh. And the other offender, look, as far as I was aware, there was some delays in the racing down at Flemington on Saturday.
Yeah.
But I didn't think they were still racing at 10 p.m. on Saturday night.
Wouldn't have thought so.
I didn't think so.
Thought they were run and done by then. And you know, I think they gave themselves 2 firsts, a second, and maybe a 4th. I was like, oh yeah. So they've kind of tried to sneak away through that way, but if you don't get them in, you don't get them in, bruh.
If you don't get them in, you don't get them in.
And we have integrity, and to uphold the integrity of this tipping competition, what are we doing to these 2 individuals?
Look, these 2 individuals, and you know, I can be a real asshole, but I'm not going to name and shame you, because you know who you are listening. These 2 individuals will not be partaking in the tipping comp anymore.
No, and it serves as a warning to the rest of you.
Yeah,
because
do not mess with us.
Yeah, and you might be asking, why wasn't this caught the first time?
Southport Tycoon ran 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, on grand final eve. Sue us. We were celebrating. Sue us.
Look, our fish were enormous. We had to fry them.
Yeah.
And yeah, but we do have receipts. We know exactly down to the second when people submit their tips. May this serve as a warning to you drifters.
Yes. So, and we're going to put in a new system which we're going to keep between us to determine knowing exactly when the cutoff is. Yeah. So don't try it again. We want a fair and integrity-filled tipping competition. That's a bit of fun between thousands of mates.
Thousands and thousands of mates. So speaking of, well done to Andrew Carolyn, who's currently on top with 15 points. 5 points week 1, 10 points week 2. Matt Godoin, he's second with 14 points. Then we've got a tied 3rd place position, Benny Pace of BP of Atmosphere fame, and Daniel Lacos. Well done, guys. You're on 13 points. But there's so much footy left to play, and the competition is incredibly close.
Yes. There's a couple of shorties this weekend. If you can get the favourites beaten, you'll be richly rewarded.
Very well rewarded.
It'll be fascinating to see how the drifters actually tip those 2 races.
It actually will be. Yeah.
So, do you go for glory?
Risk it all.
You're gonna puss out. All right. In breaking news to me, as you sat down in that chair, you said to me, "Did you see the Everest and the All-Star Mile have been upgraded?" I was like, "No, it's news to me now."
Yes, so the Everest and the All-Star Mile are officially Group 1s,
Wow.
drifters. The first time we've been recording this podcast and the first time in a while that races have been upgraded to Group 1 status. I think, the Everest, without a doubt, is a Group 1 race. It has been in everything except for title the last few years, probably since its inception. The All-Star Mile, questionable, but I think what you can say from the All-Star Mile is that the winners probably ran to a rating that is definitely befitting a Group 1. So I think Racing Victoria, you're on notice because you need to figure out exactly... They are, though. They need to figure out exactly, okay, what does it mean, the All-Star Mile? How are we going to determine this field to make sure that the tail isn't longer than a kangaroo's each year? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Group, there has to be some downgraded, right? Has to be.
Well, there's been a lot more that have been upgraded. So things like the Silver Eagle, Group 3 now. The Five Diamonds is a listed race now.
Oh, no.
Things like the Gong, the Hunter, they've all been upgraded. So I don't know what else has happened in Racing Victoria, but Racing New South Wales has had a field day. We can talk more about that because there's a listed race this weekend that is worth as much as the Epsom, the time honoured. So
How many what jurisdiction of racing do you think is like the top echelon? UK, Australia, Japan.
Oh, well, look, I think we have a fair argument. In terms of I was looking at statistics a few weeks ago. Shout out to The Straight, which is an independent, horse racing journalism source. That's pretty new. It's been doing a great job talking about all things racing and the breeding game. And they actually shared some statistics around what percentage of Australian races are actually afforded group or listed status or black type status in comparison to how much racing we actually have in this country. And you know what? We're really, really similar to pretty much every other jurisdiction because we have so much racing.
Yeah.
You almost have to treat each state like an individual country when it comes to racing in Australia because they are so vastly different. But I think that if you're looking at who's the number one seed when it comes to racing, well, for me personally, I think you've got to look at probably the States or the UK, I'd say. But then I think we deserve to have a seat at the table. I think Japan does as well. And Hong Kong racing, man, is elite.
Yeah. So I think I've just counted these up very, very quickly. So it'll be around the mark though, about I think 42 Group 1 races in the UK, flats.
Yep.
And then Japan have 24.
Yeah.
So it's like now we've got 77 now.
Something like that, yeah.
77.
Yeah.
It just doesn't sit right to me. Like I think we've been on record several times about this. And I get your point about like treating each jurisdiction differently, but where I think that argument falls down is when the Randwick Guineas and the Australian Guineas are on the same day.
Absolutely. So if you're looking at purely at numbers, look at it as a different jurisdiction. But in practice, we don't treat it like that.
Yeah.
The fact that we've got, a Hill Stakes worth more than a Might and Power Stakes, and Hill Stakes is racing in Sydney and the Might and Power is racing in Melbourne. Like that's wrong.
It is.
So I'm all for upgrading races to Group 1 status and changing the status of other races. But with push you need to shove, brah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is what it is. If the Everest is a Group 1, I think that's fair enough. The All-Star Mile, Racing Victoria, you're officially on notice by us. Just like the two punters who've been kicked out of our competition. On notice.
Right. We have a ton of racing to get through, so let's go to Caulfield to kick it all off. The Caulfield Carnival. Rail is in the true position. I think there's a bit of rain around today, but it's fine for the rest of the week. It'll be a lovely, nice track come Saturday. So, race 7 is the Might and Power Stakes, 2,000 metres, Group 1, wafer age. Your favourites, Mr. Brightside. Second favourite, a Tissue, who's on the quick backup. A lot of horses on the quick backup this weekend. And then the likes of Coco Sun, who I can see running a nice race. I don't know where to look here. Like, is it just that easy? Mr. Brightside, $1.50? Probably.
All things being equal, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Like, what's his 2,000 metre record? 5 tries, no wins at the distance, 1 second, 1 third. Look, if I'm in a certain tipping competition, that's enough of a case for me to make.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think if you look beneath the surface, though, 2 of those races were Cox Plates. One he nearly won, and the other was before he sort of took the next step in his career. The other one was that Queen Elizabeth Stakes race with Pride of Jenny. So that's 3 of them. You will not see me betting into this race, obviously. The obvious one for the drifters out there to try and get him beat, I think is $5 in the market isn't probably worth the play either. I think that's too short based on what I've seen from her this prep. If this was 2,000 metres for Leamington, good deck, different story.
Yeah.
I don't think she's a Caulfield horse. She does get J-Mac, though.
That was what I was going to say. She's a J-Mac horse.
She's a J-Mac horse. Come here, darling.
Yeah. Come here, babe. So I could potentially have a little play on her, but I agree. It's not really something I'm that interested in.
No.
So, probably Mr. B on top. But, yeah, it issued the clear danger. Adelaide River, make a case for him as well. He's dual accepted. But he was dog shit last start. But prior to that, he had form around Buckaroo. He was low flying first up. So, we'll see. But race 8 is the Caulfield Guineas, 1,600 metres for the 3-year-olds. Set weights. Broadsiding. Drawn Barry 9. J-Mac on. 9 of 11. $1.55. Is he one that you prefer to go into?
Compared to Mr. B, I'd say equal.
Yeah.
The trouble is with broadsiding in this race, well, there's not really any trouble. Some of these, what's their ceiling? If we go back to that other race real quick, we know Vow and Declare's ceiling. Bro's a 9-year-old gelding. His ceiling is a Melbourne Cup 5 years ago. Calipore, we know his ceiling. Adelaide River, probably a little bit untapped.
Right. We'll know after this prep.
Yeah. A tissue, deny knowledge, Jenny Lala. I think Coco Sun's probably got a bit of upside, but we know their ceiling. If we're looking at the Caulfield Guineas, like what's Angel Capital's ceiling? What's Evaporates? What's Wanarua's? What's Mayfair's? Public Attentions. But you also, do you know who else's ceiling we don't know yet?
Broadsiding.
The favourite broadsidings. So you can make an argument that it's a stickier $1.55 to get involved in, but you could also do yourself a favour and not get involved in either.
Yeah,
which is what I'll be doing. I'll be watching. I'll be wearing this hat. I'll be wearing this hat because this guy Animo who I'm wearing on my head won this race a few years ago. He was so much better than him, and I think it'll be the same case here.
Okay, I think the tipping competition. I reckon the third most votes will be Evaporate at double figures. He'll be the double figure horse that people would tip, I reckon.
I think so. If Angel
$12.
Capital was double figures, which I think he might be the one who comes in a bit though.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe your 7s or your 8s. Yeah. So
I reckon his price and Mayfair's price might switch from 7 to 9s. Or they both start around 8s. I don't know. You can have that. Tropicus is an interesting horse. Been waiting for him to get out to the mile. He can run on a bit, but Mark Zara is not a bad booking at all. Just probably got run off his feet in the Golden Rose, but on his Melbourne leg, he's won at Caulfield before. He's a big price, but he's in my top 4 numbers at least.
He's a big Mick Price. Speaking of Mick Price, I think Public Attention is the one at big odds that I've wanted to see get out to a mile. He's a rung below the best ones here, but he'll be in my numbers.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see Broadside and go around.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
He stinks of Animo, doesn't he?
Reeks of it.
Real stench of him. So race 9 is the Schillaci. It's not the Toorak. The Toorak is the final race on the card.
Which I like.
Which I love. Which I think they saw this quaddie. They're like, well, people are going to single out the favourites in the first and second leg. let's really ruin their day by putting the handicap mile at the end.
Yeah.
But this race is a tricky little
yeah.
affair. I could have basically 7 of these winning.
It is, yeah. I was probably drawn to 2 horses more than anything else. Number 4, Kalos, and number 9, Bellatrix Star. Mornington Glory's been found in the market. Fair enough. Last start Group 1 winner. Caulfield doesn't read as well for him as Moonee Valley, and 1100 metres doesn't read as well for him as 1000 metres, but he's just come off a Group 1 win, and he's drawn well, and is it a weight for age race?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. So he could still run a drum.
Yes, it doesn't, but there was also in the Monash, he was no good. Didn't handle the going that day on a soft 7. Prior to that, he ran 13 in Oakley Plate at Caulfield. So he has run super there. And I think 1100 metres does suit him okay. He does like to zoom around at the 1000, doesn't he?
Big greyhound.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kalos, it's been a while between runs for him.
I think they figured out that they like to keep him fresh.
Keep him fresh, 1100 metres. Key booking, J-Mac on gate 1. I don't mind that at Caulfield. So, and Bellatrix Star, the horse that frustrated you a bit last Friday night at the Valley, or 2 Friday nights ago.
Silly.
I was on GG's Miss Truth, who I thought ran home pretty well, but she was no match for Bellatrix Star. Massive drop in weight. Nice gate, and $7.50 I could get around that. So they're probably the 2 I'll be thinking about when I'm putting on my bet.
Yeah, I think you can have Bellatrix for me, just because big step up in my opinion to this
enormous
sort of grade.
Enormous step up.
She gets the weight relief, but she was getting weight relief last start for beating some of those home. Stupid to overlook that at the Valley. I was furious at myself. Mahaba's tried well. Star Patrol, where the hell has he been at? I could see he's raced super first up. Stapati's been one of yours. Recommendation's been super. Like Oscar's Fortune was running around beating running around with Amelia's Jewel in a quokka. So I don't know where to look.
Tricky little race. Might be a field job.
May as well. Got some percentage to play with.
True.
All right. So how many races has Pericles accepted in this weekend? The Toorak Handicap. 1600 metres, Group 1 Handicap. Your favourite is Another Will at 290. He has drawn Barrier 1 with Mickey D on board. He'll be awfully hard to beat. Did you see Pride of Jenny was in the nominations for this field? Troubling.
Yeah. I don't know what they were trying to do.
I don't know.
Whether they were trying to just get the weight down on Another Will, but it would have dropped everyone else's weight anyway, so it didn't really make sense to me.
No.
I think Uncle Tony and Mr. Kieran Moe are probably having a few disagreements about where to send her. Whether Kieran had a bit of trepidation about the quick backup from the King Charlie into the Cox Plate. I don't know.
I don't know either. But we'll see. Another Will is one of the most fascinating horses that I saw in the noms, and she was thrown a nomination in everywhere at Caulfield. Was Orchestral. I was not expecting to see her here. That piques my interest. I was like, oh, this race has a massive tail now, which it kind of does, but you chuck an Orchestral in there. Alsafina absolutely flew home at the Valley the other night.
Super, yeah.
With the entire grandstand on. Then when's the last time you saw Damien Lane get to 53.5 on Osipenko?
Very true. What about Craig Williams riding on Craig? That's meant to be.
G'day.
Do you know what I've got an eye on in this race? What 4-year-old is going to run nicely and then heading towards a Golden Eagle? So got an eye on that.
What, Craig?
Is he the only one?
Orchestral.
And Orchestral. They're the 2.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and get Another Will beat in this race. He's been the favourite for a very long time in this race, almost by default. And I think if you look a little bit closer, it's like, okay, well, Yeah, he's got a phenomenal record, but what's he been beating up on in his career? He's coming out of benchmark races, and obviously that's to keep his rating down, but I don't think he's particularly well weighted still.
No.
He's only got half a kilo off Antino, who's going around against the likes of Pride of Jenny and Mr. Brightside. Like, yeah, they're clearly better than him, but this is way easier than what he's been contesting. Blake Shin on sexual. Orchestra was a very interesting nomination in this race, so keep a close eye on her. Do you know the horse that I'm really hoping gets to double figures and stays around that, but I think the market will find him because the market's smarter than I am, is the number 1 seed, Desert Lightning. So Bro resumed with Kat Coleman and Peter Moody in the Chautauqua Stakes. 1,200 metres not his jam, especially carrying 61 kilos behind a Little Deep and Arkansas Kid. A Little Deep has had great form this prep, as has Arkansas Kid. Dropped to 59.5 kilos in the Sandown Stakes. Craig had 54 kilos there, but Craig had Luke Curry on. Craig now gets Craig Williams on, but he only drops half a kilo to 53.5. Whereas Desert Lightning drops from 59.5 kilos to 57 kilos. And Craig was not making up that much on Desert Lightning. Gate 11's tricky for Desert Lightning, but I know where he's going to be in the running. So he's probably the one that I'm going to have on top, closely followed by Antino. Watch Pericles run an absolute heater in this race.
I know.
He's going to run a heater.
He will.
But he's also dual knob, so I'm not going to put him on top yet.
Yeah. So I was just looking through another... And winning margins for another wheel, right? So he... 1.5 lengths to Wishlaw Lass and Run Harry Run last start. 0.2 of a length to Hit a Shock, where he absolutely mowed him down first up. Beaten 2.5 lengths into Doncaster on a heavy 8, where Pericles, speaking of him, had 54.5 kilos, and another wheel started $3.60 favourite and had 50. So he's gained 5 kilos, and Pericles has gained 2.5. So automatically... Like, Pericles for going around in that Doncaster, 2.5 kilos better off.
Absolutely. And I think if you're keen on another wheel, he could just be better than these. Like, he's known for a Cox Blade, and Kieran Maher, he's not going to have him fully tuned up in his, first up, his 2 first up wins. Like, this has always been the grand final for him. But I think he's going to have to run the best he's ever run here. In order to win, because this isn't a knockabout field of bloody benchmark 100 Jimmy the Bears. Oh, wait, sorry, he's in this field, sorry.
At $41.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm keen to get him beat. Happy to be proven wrong, because it means we've got another good horse to add to the ranks. But I think I can get him beat in this race.
Yeah, I was taken by Alsafina.
Man, she ran super.
Like, she has a pretty explosive turn of foot.
Yeah. Dry deck Caulfield will suit running around Ascot.
Yeah.
Should be used to that.
I think so. Like, she's had four attempts at the distance, 3 wins, 1 second, $12. Barrier 10, she's going to get back anyway. So, Jai McNeil.
Weak. Gutted dog.
But he's won a Group 1, his last Group 1 in this race on Thunder.
Yeah, was that like 6 years ago?
3.
It was before this podcast.
I think it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, it'd probably be about 3 years ago, I'd say.
So it's been a long time between... And we forgot to mention on Sunday, and I feel terrible for him, but Chad got his drought on Cheerwolf.
About 10 years, isn't it?
Yeah, at least. It was a long time. One of the biggest.
Good on you, Chad.
Yeah, to be fair, Chad was in Hong Kong for a while. But
Chad was.
But there's still Group 1 racing over there.
Yes.
So it's no excuse, Chad. But yes, Alsafina. $12. I think I'm double figure hunting this weekend. And we'll get to it, but it's the best each way bet of the carnival of the spring later on at Rosehill.
Keep your eyes peeled. All right, so you've got the best each way tip of the carnival this weekend.
Yeah,
I reckon this could be like lay of the carnival. Another will.
Whoa.
Just because I'm keen to get him beat.
That's crazy talk.
I'm keen to get him beat. So therefore, wouldn't that be a lay? Isn't that how fucking Betfair works? Like I'm just a
But lay on the weekend, oh my God. Lay at a carnival, rather. That is wild stuff.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, if everyone's so keen on him, it's not that it's not that he's like $1.50, but all the talk's been about him. It's like, well, if I get him beat, isn't that what a lay is?
Yeah, it is.
Like,
it is.
Excuse my ignorance.
But I think a lot of people would be like, all right, guarantee me one Group 1 winner this spring. And a lot of people would go like, outside of broadsiding, and they go like, chips in another wheel in the Toorak. I fully believe that, because he's a get back horse and he sucks them in, and it's like he's visually just so impressive. You're like, oh, there's nothing in Australia that could beat that thing. Well, in reality, there's plenty. So
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh.
Excuse the terminology.
Yeah.
But I think I'm keen to get him beat.
Okay, I love it. Good for you.
Oh, look, come at me if you want. I don't like it. Really doesn't bother me. No. Anyone listening, I'm happy to be proven wrong. I was keen to get him beat before I saw the final field, and because I knew Antino was coming here.
Yeah,
and I was like, I don't think Antino's gonna. If Antino's not gonna be the top weight, then and then I saw the weights. I was like, he's only getting half a kilo off Antino. Would another will be running as close to Pride of Jenny and Mr. Brightside in the Fian Stakes last Friday, 2 Fridays ago?
Yeah, maybe.
But
4-horse field, so hard to say. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, just trying to make a point.
Yeah, no, you've made a point. I think you've made a big point. I'm just looking at Antino, because he ran in this race last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he ran second to attrition.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
All right, let's go through the rest of this card, because it is plentiful. Race 2 is the Thoroughbred Club of Australia Plate. 1,200 metre, 3-year-old fillies, set weights and penalties. My girl, Erno's Cube, dual accepted. She comes here, top weight, 58.5 kilos, but she has the best form in the race. She's been racing against the likes of Autumn Glow, Amina, Manal. So I think she's the pony for me, but she's also accepted in Sydney. So if she comes here, the other horse that I was entertaining was I Am Velvet.
Yeah, that's the one I was entertaining. I think if Erno's Cube is in this race, I'll probably bet on her, but I'm not 100% sure she will be because of the dual nom. But I liked I Am Velvet. Has a head carry like Espiona, though. Like, puts it to the side and looks to the crowd, basically. The Melbourne leg as well, so it's basically the opposite of what Espiona does, or used to do. So you dropped off your girl Silmarillion. Needed to see more from her last start.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, race 3 is the Northwood Plume Stakes, 1,200 metres, Group 3 for the mares, set weights and penalties. We see Charmstone back at the track.
We do. Good to see.
Yeah. What do you think of her trial? I thought it was okay. I wasn't really taken by it.
Need to see it from her after a 12-month time off. Gummy Gumdrops, big price at $19, but I've already mentioned a little deep on this podcast with the form around Desert Lightning. I will mention her again. Really liked her last start. She ran second. Back again, $3.30. Marks are on. Nice gate.
Dual accepted.
Dual accepted as well, yeah.
For the Navision in Sydney.
Yes.
She'll be awfully hard to beat if she is here. I thought, in more ways than one, Graham Begg is in for a big spring, I think.
Well, his team lost the grand final.
Swan supporter, is he? Yeah. Oh, commiserations, Graham.
Sorry, bruh.
Unlucky, bruh. But Kundalini, he's for Graham Begg now. Used to be Kiramar filly, but he's got her absolutely flying. Now, she did have a weight advantage against the likes of Little Deep and Revolutionary Miss. Revolutionary Miss has franked that form and then some last weekend. But she did come from right out wide and absolutely looped it, basically. So she'll have to do something similar from barrier 12 with Mickey D on. But I think she's in a good headspace. I think she's racing really well. Mare in form. I could do worse things at $8.
Could see the market coming for her if a Little Deep and a Little Deep comes out.
Yeah. Yeah, well said.
Yeah, I really could.
So I think this week, I think there's a 1 kilo swing in a Little Deep's favour, but we'll see.
Interesting runner, Aviatrix. Won nicely in Morphettville last start. She's a good price at $8 too. So yeah,
Might have to give the Mafia a bit of a call to see how the form really stacks up. The Catanarchs, 150 years Vars, 1,600 metres. Group 3 for the mares, set weights and penalties. My old mate with J-Mac on, City of Lights, half-sister to Winx, is here. She was okay behind the likes of Terramata, Roots. She was flying through the line, so I think she'll be looking for the mile absolutely. And we have seen her on her Melbourne leg a couple of times before, albeit she did break her maiden at Geelong. So probably up in grade, but 550. She's the most likely one I'm probably going to have a bet on.
I'm going to have a little bet each way on a $61 pop.
Hello.
Number 12, Matriarch Rose.
Again.
Cardiac arrhythmia. Last start at the Valley. So clear excuses. The start before that, she ran home really nicely behind the likes of Perfect, who failed last start, but there's got to be question marks there. I just think, coming off cardiac arrhythmia, if I thought she was going to run well last start, back her again at that price. Why not?
Yeah. I have that justification for some other horses this weekend, so why wouldn't I? The Weekend Hustlers race 5, 1,400 metres listed. Handicap. Griff is your top weight. Jimmy Star, $2.70. I was so disappointed there because I found him last start and I was keen to back him again, and he's dual accepted in Sydney as well.
Yes, yeah.
But I thought this was a much better setup, and he's drawn perfect in both. He is second emergency in Sydney, though. So
I can see him running here. He's the one I found as well, obviously. Doesn't take an expert. But if he's not running here, I was keen on running by last start. And that was the heavy deck race that Alsafina ran third in. Grinzinger Bell put him to the sword. Has absolutely no wet track form running by. So tricky gate. But loves Caulfield, Mickey D to navigate it with 54 kilos. $9.50 with Neds.
the other one who I believe, I'm just checking this now as well. No, he's not. Okay. I thought he was dual accepted Coast Watch. Number 6 for Mark Zara in those famous silks. He was good behind the likes of NCAP and Bases Loaded in Sydney. Barrier 2 here, I could see him just settling behind the pace and, as Mark did on Revolutionary Miss, bump one out of the way and go like, this race is mine, bruh. So I could see Coast Watch do that, but yeah. Outside of Jimmy, I'm not really sure. Now, the Herbert Power Stakes is race 6, 2,400 metres, Group 2, Handicap. You're shaking your head.
I had no idea what to do with this race. I had absolutely no idea what to do with this race. There's so many things out of form in this race.
Akita Sushi. The map had a setback. Yeah, there is a ton. Like, Nick Ryan, I think, has sensed that, right? And he's thrown the bottom weight in, who was racing over a mile last start, jumping up 800 metres.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Now, Nick Ryan, he knows how to get his horses fit, but that horse was only racing 2 weeks ago. Or 3 weeks ago. So it's going to be a hell of an effort if that horse can get up and win.
Absolutely, it would be. And
it's $11, so it's been supported.
Yeah, I don't know. I was sort of looking at Gear Up, who's been solid this prep. Comes out of that positivity race, Future History as well. Before that, comes out of a race that had Young Werter and Duke de Sessa, and Young Werter ran pretty well last weekend in the Turnbull. So I don't know. I was leaning towards Gear Up, but he doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I think he's been way more consistent the last 12 months, Gear Up. But in saying that, he's still only won once out of 6 attempts. So I know exactly. And he's the one that I found too.
Yeah.
I think the key to Gear Up is good ground. He cannot handle wet tracks at all. And if you look at... So this is... You look at his distance form. So he was... And there are some similar offenders that he beat, right? So he was beaten. The last time he won at this distance, he beat Cleveland. Now, Cleveland... And that was at Leopardstown. So Cleveland is a horse that just has none in Australia.
Except for the time that he...
Sydney Cup favourite? Is that when he rolled around? I reckon it might have been that.
No, remember that race at the Valley on the Friday night, and he beat Van der Clare, and Van der Clare, I just decided to put on a speculative multi, and
That's right.
it was like 4 legs, and he was the last leg. Van der Clare ran second, Cleveland beat him home.
That's right. So yeah, Cleveland has run
And
well.
definitely not one of mine. Prick of a horse.
I see he's finished a few lengths behind Dubai Honour over this distance as well on a synthetic track. But yeah, Gear Up's probably the one for me, but we'll probably spend far too much time on this race. Far too much time. We did the Schillaci, so we did the quaddie. It's probably a mistake, but oh well. If you can hear that in the background, that's rain.
Absolutely pissing down here in Brizzy.
It is. But let's get to Sydney. Let's go to race 4, which is the Gloaming Stakes. 1,800 metres, Group 3, set weights for the 3-year-olds. My guy, Henline. Big pogo stick on him.
He's a real watch the Manning yard before you bet type operation.
Yeah, for the uninitiated, he's a real linebacker type.
He's a linebacker type. Not that poorly behaved, I'd say.
No.
But he's in that similar ilk.
But what we will say is that he was playing up, had the 5th leg out in the mounting yard, and then he ran super behind Evaporate.
He did. And
Now-
Evaporate's, one of your preferred horses in the Caulfield Guineas now.
Yeah, and to be fair, linebacker did that first up as well. He had the pogo stick out, and then he ran well first up, but he ran dog shit second up.
He did. But I think keep your powder dry with him until you see the mounting yard. But he's clearly got the talent to win this race. Swift Falcon.
Hell of a win.
Hell of a win last start.
I'm fascinated why they're running him again, though.
Yeah.
Was it that soft and he just pulled up that well? You'd assume so.
You'd have to assume so. I don't know if is the Hawk stable known for doing this? The quick backup? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Doesn't really scream. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, not sure. So I was looking at this race, and I was probably of the opinion that Henley's probably the one that I want to back, but I'm just going to keep my powder dry.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. All right. The Roman Console. This is a tough little race.
It is.
1,200 metres, Group 2 for the 3-year-old set weights. This is the race that Erno's Cube is dual accepted in, and to be honest, I think she's probably better off going to Melbourne than here, because you have the likes of Gatsby's, Coleman. There's just alternative form lines galore. So you have Coleman running in the Group 1s at Moonee Valley. You have the likes of Gatsby's, who ran at Heritage, who was beaten by Perspiration. And then you have the likes of High Octane, who was running in the Poseidon down the straight behind Growing Empire. And then you have Provincial Form and Yoshinobu and Spirit of Wealth. And Spirit of Wealth is like second in the market. I don't know where to look.
The Spirit of Wealth looks to be a very smart little filly, little grey filly. I wasn't sure where to look either. Particularly with Switzerland coming back, and could just turn up and be a different horse after that failing first up, but you sort of have to see it.
$8, that's short.
Perspiration, better price than Gatsby's. And there was nothing from that race that suggested to me that you shouldn't be backing Perspiration here over Gatsby's.
And Perspiration is getting another... So Gatsby's carried... No, sorry, that's right. Yeah, Gatsby's gets a 2-kilo weight swing.
Well, that's probably why.
Yeah.
But no, tricky little race. But Spirit of Wealth does look to have incredible upside. This is a big step up for a little filly, though.
Benchmark 68 Warwick Farm form. So, yeah, if that's the type of sicko you are, then by all means.
$5 is short.
Very short. All right, here we go. The Tap Crag. Best each way bet of the spring is here. And let me tell you why. King of Russo. This horse is absolutely flying. Perfect setup for him. So he was dual accepted for this in the Roman Console, and I always knew that Peter Snowden was a good judge because this race is so much easier.
So much easier.
So much easier. First up, he was beaten 4 lengths to Stormboy, who looked like black caviar. He did.
He did.
And, you know, he beat the rest of that field by 3 lengths, so he's only a length off, like, second place there. But next start, he was only 3 lengths away from Growing Empire and 1.5 lengths away from First Settler. What am I missing here? Loved the tune-up trial in between runs there as well. And you're getting $15. $15 to find out.
You are.
I think he is a stupid price in this race. I really do. I think you can have a really healthy each-way bet on King of Russo this weekend. I think he's a cracking bet. Get on the train.
Choo-choo. Choo-choo. No, yeah, I think that's an incredible case that you made. Particularly when I'm looking at this race and I'm unsure how to play it. A Node to be $3.30 favourite, probably needed to see more from him last time.
Like, he was beaten 8 lengths.
Yeah. Yeah, Just Party couldn't possibly back anything out of that stable. Snack Bar does have the Lady Shenandoah and Mayfair form, so that's probably the more obvious one. But
Gap between runs for him.
It is. It is, but I don't have a firm opinion.
Yeah, big King of Russo.
Tap Craig.
Yeah. Now, the Hill Stakes. There's another cracking bet in this race. This is the second best each-way bet of the spring here.
Fucking hell.
So, Pericles is your second favourite, rather. Royal Patronage. What are your opinions on this horse backing up?
He had a tough run.
And he's drawn wide here again.
He had a tough run. I thought he went well.
I thought he ran great.
I thought he went well.
What's left in the tank, though?
Well, it's got to be the concern. It's got to be the concern.
Yeah. So,
don't leave me hanging.
Oh, well, no, I agree. I had a look through his USA and his UK form. He's a bit of a traveller, this guy. Month between runs over there. And, you know, they race different here, of course. And I think he is quite durable because they've been running him every 2 weeks when he's been here. So I think there is a bit of durability about him. But I would be more interested if he drew barrier 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
Barrier 10, he's going to have another tough run. I just don't know what's left. So I'm happy to risk him at $3.40. Kovalika was unlucky. He's getting out to a suitable distance, Kovalika.
He is. We run on a bit. I couldn't possibly.
Yeah. Okay. So who you keen on?
I've been waiting for you to say what your each way play is.
Oh, sorry.
That's what I said. Don't leave me hanging.
Oh, right. Number 5, Nonconformist.
Nonconformist.
Yeah.
The old boy.
Why wouldn't he? How's this form read? In the Chelmsford, he was beaten 1.4 lengths by Buckaroo.
That's elite form.
It is good form, isn't it?
It's elite form.
Like, he had 59 kilos that day. It was a weight for age race. But and so is this. So I think barrier 5, Harry Coffey on again. I can see Graham Begg absolutely ambushing the Sydney Siders like he does time and time and time again.
He does do it.
And I think with Nonconformist, I think the old boy can get the JD.
Yes. For some reason, I sort of kept looking at attrition. Mm. And like he needed to show us so much more this prep so far. But this is his first time stretching out to 1,900 metres for... I don't think he's even gone further than a mile before. I don't think. Well, he has once actually in the Underwood last year. Mm. And I was coming from the Fian into the Underwood, that's right. And he's a big price. I don't know why. I sort of kept looking at him in this race and just thinking like, you know, is that what he needed? Does he need to be fourth up? Does he need, you know, the Sydney way of going? I'm not sure. Mm. But I just kept coming back to him. But yeah, I think the Epsom form probably reads best for this race. So probably your Pericleses and your Royal Patronages and your Kovalikas.
Mm. The other horse who's at a massive price in this race, already mentioned him in his dual accept, is Adelaide River. So drew 16 last start, No excuses for him. He just ran dog shit out
No
of
excuses.
off day. Maybe it was second up syndrome. Maybe he had a full dose of it. Because first up in the Chelmsford behind Buckaroo, he was super. Best run in Australia to date. If he can recapture that, $34 is utter madness for that horse. Utter madness. Barrier 6 he'll jump from. So maybe they need to yank his plums down and chop them off as well. Because that could be the best thing for him.
I don't know why they persist with.
Holy shit. That was... I'm sure they heard that.
Oh, they must have.
I reckon that was all the bloodstock agents going like, I don't know why they persist, going like, hey mate, shut your mouth.
I don't know what bloodstock agents would be interested in Adelaide River, but anyway, Brisbane's about to turn into an even bigger river.
Yeah.
Based on that, water coming down from the sky. God. Yeah, so you're playing some weird exotics this weekend by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I'm keen for it though. Don't need to outlay a lot to get a good return. The Alan Brown, race 8, 1,400 metres, handicap. I thought this was near impossible, but I'm going to hand it over to you to talk about Gringotts.
Yeah. This should be renamed the bloody Sydney Shoots Itself in the Foot Stakes, honestly. Like, so many of these horses should have been running in the Epsom last week.
Amenable, Lindemann,
Hit a Shock,
Converge,
Samana.
NCAP. I know a star won a trial by 12 lengths. Like, you need a pacemaker. You throw that horse in the Epsom last week, there's going to be more genuine pace on.
Absolutely. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, quite clearly Gringotts for me. He's already been found in the market. I don't think he opened favourite, and he's into $4.40 with the good people at Ned's. If I was keen on him to win an Epsom, he puts this field away.
Okay.
Yeah.
If Jimmy runs, I'll be on Jimmy. A horse that, pardon me, his price has halved since he came in, and yes, he'll have to do it from the hard way. But Territory Express won the provincial championship in the autumn, and he has some sneaky good form. This horse, he's been competitive in this sort of grade. He's first up, trialled behind the likes of I Know a Star, and absolutely brained the rest of them. So they're the three I'm kind of interested in. Definitely putting NCAP in the quaddie for insurance. I could just see that horse winning again. Barrier 3, drawn well.
Running a drum.
Yeah, I could see him just being competitive.
He's another one who should have been in the Epsom, but anyway.
Yeah, the Navision, race 9, 1,200 metre group 3 for the mares, set weights and penalties. Any firm opinion here? We see a Lentia resume.
No, not yet, because again, there's a couple of dual acceptors, but I thought Roots ran well first up in Newcastle behind Terramata. Terramata's a massive price in the race we were just talking about. Yeah, Lentia, that's the obvious one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it too obvious? She's got a phenomenal first up record.
She does, but I've gone with my girl Roots. She's one of mine.
Yeah, she is.
So $8.50 and a significant booking. Where the hell has Nash been this spring?
Yeah, where has Nash been?
Is it on us? Have we just missed him? But I feel like we haven't really talked about Nash at all.
No, but who's Nash's pin-up horse at the moment?
It used to be Private Eye.
Used to be. Eduardo before that. So he used to be Think It Over.
Yeah, true.
He's lost a few pin-ups, Nash.
Well, IME he used to ride. J-Mac kicked him off her.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about that, actually. Private Eye getting an Everest slot.
No, he didn't. Yeah, he got there in the end, didn't he? Unbelievable. Well, it was slim pickings.
But yeah, Roots for me.
Oh, I think that was a good bet.
Okay.
That's a good bet.
All right. I think that's about it.
Yeah, I'm nervous about this rain.
Really? Why?
Because, G's little Yaris outside.
Oh, no.
Is it a swimmer? I think it's a dry track horse. No, she'll be right.
Yeah.
No, looking forward to the weekend, though. It won't be a big betting weekend for me, I don't think. Just from, there's a few shorties I think will be hard to beat. There's a couple of big, at a big price, will have some small specs on, but That's how I'm keen to play it.
I'm more keen to bet in Rosehill than I am at Caulfield. So,
Yeah,
who says you need a Group 1 price tag to have a bet?
absolutely not. Like,
You definitely don't.
well, you know, to that point, a race doesn't need to be a Group 1 for us to be dead keen to watch and bet on it.
Absolutely.
Um,
One of the best races we ever saw was Catalyst versus Alligator Blood up there at Flemington Straight.
Absolutely. So, you know, if it's a good betting race, we're keen to watch, keen to play, keen to partake. But whether you like it or not, having the Group 1 status, believe it or not, apart from prize money, that's what draws the best horses. And guess what we like watching? The best horses.
Yes. I agree. That just confirms that the Everest is in the tipping competition. It always was, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course it was. So, yeah, tipping comp again this weekend, Drifters. You will get an email if you're partaking tomorrow morning. You can put your tips in straight away if you like, but if you learnt your lesson from Autumn Glow last week, yeah, more than welcome to keep your powder dry, but no later than midday on Saturday to enter your tips. And don't put your tips in after the fact. Come on, be better than that.
Yeah. Well, you'll know what happens. So if you're having a bet, do it responsibly and do it with Neds.
Absolutely. Good luck.